Hi, I am Lucas. I know age is just a number, but take mine to be a solid 28. I am a Michigander through and through, and Michigan has been home to my family for generations. To tell you all the truth, I come from a family with quite big pockets, but that has not stopped me from making my mark here on this planet. Since I was a little kid, music has been my heart and soul, and I live for the sweet melodies and beats that move me. My parents saw that spark in me early on and made sure I had everything I needed to explore my musical journey, whether it was singing, playing instruments, or creating beats. I had been my own little instructor in high school. I taught myself how to strum the guitar and started writing my own songs. Music was like therapy for me. It has always helped me express myself and reach out to people. As a teenager, I used to hit up local coffee joints and small spots to perform, sharing my heartfelt tunes with whoever would listen. I remember how my mom, Natalie, always pushed me to go after my dreams and put my talents on display. Looking back, she was always there to encourage me to use my gifts and not keep them hidden. "Lucas, I believe in you, son. You are really talented. I know you are going to crush the competition and take first place." "Mom, what if nobody likes my performance?" "Nah, that is not going to happen. Believe in yourself, son. You are going to rock it." I used to be quite introverted, didn't really like to socialize much, and would also avoid talking to people unless my mom nudged me into it. On top of that, I had social anxiety, which made it even harder for me to hold a conversation. However, there was this one summer that changed everything for me. Just after my 13th birthday, I received the most extraordinary guitar any musician could dream of. The minute I saw it, I knew that thing would be stuck to me like glue for ages. I spent all my time practicing that beauty day and night. Our house sat right by a peaceful lake, and our backyard stretched out smoothly along its banks, giving me the perfect spot to play my tunes. I had also carved out my own little hideaway, which was tucked close to the water, and it became my sanctuary, or to say, a place where I would lose myself for hours and practice getting better with every pluck of the string. The hot sun, the gentle breeze, the smell of chlorine, and the distant sounds of the kids playing all made up the perfect soundtrack. This was the summer when I ended up rescuing Emily. I was deep into my music stuff when I heard this loud scream for help. Running to the shore, I saw Emily, the neighbor's kid, struggling in the water. Lucky for me, I knew how to swim. I didn't waste a second, and I pulled her out just in time. She was gasping for air, and her elbow was all banged up from hitting the rocks. "Are you all right?" Emily could not even get a word out. She was panting so hard, trying to catch her breath. "Hey, it is all good. Just take some deep breaths, okay?" I helped Emily get back to her house, and her parents were super thankful to me for saving her life. They were unable to even put it into words and really appreciated what I did for them. After that incident, I remember Emily and I just clicked. Our friendship kind of grew out of that water. Even though I despised the company of all the other kids, I loved hers. We pretty much hung out all summer, making memories left and right. It was like a big jam session of laughter, adventures, and just enjoying each other's company. We became best buds in no time, and honestly, I felt like it was meant to last a lifetime. But destiny always had a way of playing tricks. That very year, Emily's family moved to Texas. I remember it hitting me hard, like I had lost a part of myself. I missed her, but life had to keep rolling. Sure, my mom would hit me up with her pictures sometimes that were posted by her parents on Facebook, but nothing more. As I grew up, I became increasingly focused on building my career and pursuing my dreams. I worked hard to achieve my goals and gradually found myself thinking less and less about her. Although her memory lingered in my thoughts for a long time, I eventually moved on, and my life took me in a different direction. But even after all those years, I sometimes wondered what became of Emily and where life had taken her. 15 long years had passed since that summer, yet it felt like it was just yesterday. Each and every memory of hers was etched into my mind. However, as time went on, the memories also faded away. No matter how hard I tried to cling to those times, they just slipped through my fingers and faded into some blurry pictures of days gone by. I was pretty into music all through my younger years, but when I grew up, I decided to take a shot at turning it into something more exciting, a business of some sort. And so, after high school, I headed to San Francisco, California, to chase my musical dreams. I went for a business administration degree from San Francisco State University, but simultaneously signed up for a music program, where I met a bunch of other musicians. We ended up forming a band and started playing gigs all over town, building up our fan base step by step. but that had lasted only for a while. Deep down, I felt like I was meant for something way bigger. I had this constant pull in my heart, pushing me towards diving headfirst into the world of music and lyrics. And then, all of it happened like the climax of a killer song. My visions became real. I kicked off a company all about celebrating music in every way possible. I set up a spot where the budding musicians could lay down their tracks, team up with other artists, and get some pro advice and backing. Along with my other friends, I also developed some top-notch recording studios, a crew of producers and engineers, and a network of super talented musicians. It took some time, but we finally had a space where artists could make their musical dreams happen and get all the support they needed to shine in the industry. By teaming up with the people who shared my passion, I did it all, from making tunes to getting them out there. Building such a company from dust was not an easy task, but Brooke had been by my side through it all. He was my buddy and also my partner at work, and he was the real deal when it came to loyalty and friendship. His solid support and genuine friendship had helped me throughout my career and also made me tackle all the challenges that life threw at me. Everything was going just fine with no complaints whatsoever, until that one fateful afternoon that led to this turn of events. It was a mundane Tuesday afternoon, and I was on my way to work. I was walking down the street when I glimpsed her familiar face among the bustling crowd of a coffee shop. It was Emily. She was coming out of the coffee shop. I buzzed with excitement when I saw her, and the memories came rushing in like a wave. With a grin, I walked up to her, ready to recall those good old times, and so I called out her name, but her response was not what I had expected at all. "Hi. Emily, right? It has got to be you. It's Lucas. Remember me? Your old neighbor from back in the day." I saw her eyes, which used to be full of laughs before, but now they had this coldness to them that kind of hit me, and before I could say anything, she pulled back like a reflex or something. "I am sorry. I think you're mistaken." "I don't think so. We used to be best friends, remember? I am Lucas, the lake house guy. I saved you from drowning. Does that ring a bell?" "Oh yeah, I guess I do remember. But let's be real, I barely know you. Quit acting like we are close or something." "What? Seriously? How can you say that? Don't you remember how we spent the entire summer together?" "One second, hold up. That was not how it went down at all. Stop acting like a creep." I tried to figure out what she was saying. I was like, what, all confused and maybe a bit amused? I just couldn't wrap my head around what she was getting at. Her words left me feeling shaky and not sure what to do next. I am sorry if I caught you off guard there. I was just so excited to see you. I thought it might be cool to catch up and talk about the old days and all that." "Sorry, but I don't see it that way. I mean, sure, we hung out for one summer, but that's about it. You're kind of crossing some lines here." I was stunned to see her behavior. And then there was this guy next to her who was probably her husband. His vibe was seriously intimidating, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, he started tossing threats at me, which really shook me up. "Hey, what's your deal, man? Quit acting like a jerk and just move along. Calm down, bud. Just shut up and move your way. Stop pestering my wife, or I will fix your jaw right up." I was just plain bewildered at that moment and tried to figure out what the heck had happened. I remember feeling all mixed up with confusion and hurt inside, which were constantly swirling around in my head as I backed off, and her accusations weighed me down even more. It had been like 2 days since Emily pulled that unfair move, and my mind had been all over the place. I had constantly been wondering why she did that. But I just shoved those thoughts away because I had this concert project coming up that week, which was eating up all my attention, and I had to make sure everything was spot on for the big day. I also had a bunch of other important gigs lined up, and they were make or break for my career. The pressure was starting to get to me, and I just couldn't afford to mess any of them up. And so I was doing my best to stay laser focused on it and shoved that messed up thing with her out of my head. I was deeply engrossed in my work, and then suddenly Maddie, my secretary, busted in, saying that there was a woman outside, waiting to see me. Now this got me curious, but also a bit wary. I told my secretary to send her in and wondered who the heck it could be. And bam, it was Emily standing right there. I was thrown off a loop, like why was she here after treating me like garbage the other day? And how did she even know where to find me? I was so confused, and her being there stirred up this whole mess of feelings in me: resentment, curiosity, and this weird longing for friendship that I didn't even want to admit. I was shaken and torn between all those conflicting emotions and was trying to figure out why the heck she was visiting me. But this time it felt different. Her eyes were full of regret and vulnerability. "Hi, Lucas. How are you? How is it going?" "I am good. Everything is fine. How are you?" I was taken aback by the normalcy, but I acted along. I gotta say sorry, I was totally off for judging you so harshly earlier. Honestly, it was never my intention. Your sudden appearance just caught me by surprise, you know? It's cool. But gotta admit, it stung a bit to be called out like that. Why did you act like that anyway? I get it, and I'm really sorry for what happened. See, my husband, Dryden, had no clue who you were, and he can get a bit fiery. So I thought it might spice things up to introduce you two out of the blue. That's why I acted like I didn't know you at all. Her excuses didn't sit right with me, but I didn't think much of them and decided to let it slide. But hey, it is really good to see you again. We should totally catch up sometime. I was thinking we could grab lunch together one of these days. You can even bring your partner along if you want. Well, I am single at the moment. But sure, lunch sounds cool. We can chat about the old times. Awesome. Then I'll talk to Dryden about it. I'm sure he'll be pumped to hear about our lunch plan. Emily then again explained to me that she felt totally off about the way she had acted that day and had some time to think things over. She figured that her own fears and insecurities had messed up her judgment. After chatting for a bit, we swapped our contact info and said goodbye. After that, Emily and I started hanging out a lot. It felt like we were bringing back the old childhood connection, and having her around was like having a good buddy by my side. We frequently dug into our shared past as well, and uncovered all those memories that tied us together. She later introduced me to her husband, who also apologized for his behavior, and over time I even started getting along with Dryden. He was a bit intimidating and rough around the edges sometimes, but I felt that he meant well. But no matter what I did, I just couldn't shake off this negative feeling I sometimes had about him. Still, I brushed it aside because he was my friend's husband, so I just let that thought fade away. One day, when I was casually chatting with Dryden, he shared his deep love for music with me. He also talked about how he has always been drawn to rhythms and melodies. I knew that he had recently lost his job, so I started thinking about how I could help him chase his passion. It hit me that Dryden's love for music could be a great fit for my company, so I decided to offer him a role with us. I was excited about the chance to help him follow his passion, and I had high hopes that he would come out to be a valuable addition to our team. Hello, Dryden. I wanted to talk to you about a job possibility. Our production crew is looking for an assistant audio engineer, and I remember you mentioning your experience in this area. Would you be up for it? The gig involves helping out our main audio engineer with recording, editing, and mixing audio for different projects. Let me know if that sounds like something you would be into. Are you offering this job to me, man? Well, yeah, I sure am. That would be an amazing opportunity, dude. I love that. Awesome. Once you shoot over your CV, I'll take a look. Also, before we lock anything in, there are a couple of training sessions I would like for you to go through. They will give you a good feel for the company and what we are looking for in the role. Once you are done with those, we will take it from there. Thank you so much, Lucas. I am sending my CV your way as we speak. No need to thank me. All we need is an enthusiastic and passionate employee. I'm sure you'll prove to be one. I sure will, man. Thanks a lot. I owe you big time. Dryden then joined our crew a few weeks later. At first, he was doing all right and seemed to be getting the hang of things. But as time went on, I noticed his work wasn't quite hitting the mark in terms of depth and precision. I thought maybe a training program could help him step up his game, so I suggested he give it a shot for a few weeks. But even after finishing up the program, his work didn't really see much of a boost in quality. It had been a few months since Dryden's joining when we got hit with our first curveball. The music we had been cooking up for an upcoming artist suddenly showed up, already released by another agency for a different artist. It was like a carbon copy of our work. Same notes, same tones. Someone had clearly spilled the beans. I was beyond pissed. I decided to let go of anyone who seemed sketchy and tightened up security as well, but it happened again right before our big release of the month. Our entire year's worth of work leaked to a rival agency once more. I was furious. I again conducted an in-depth screening of the whole agency but found nothing. Then one day, Emily totally surprised me by dropping by my workplace. As soon as she showed up, we got to chatting and filled each other in on what had been going on in our lives. I was stressed out by the recent events, and she comforted me. Emily was doing well for herself. She had secured a good position as a sales representative at a reputed firm. Despite her success, she confided in me that her salary was not as high as she would have liked. Suddenly, she shifted to a very weird topic that caught me off guard. Lucas, as you know, Dryden has been grinding it out as an audio engineer for a while now. What is your take on bumping him up? You know how expenses have been shooting through the roof lately. I was thinking maybe you could lend a hand, for old time's sake. Emily, are you suggesting that I give him a raise? Not about a salary boost, but I heard there's an opening for a music producer gig at your place. You know how Dryden has been all about that musical writing stuff, and he has been putting in a serious grind lately. I think it's definitely time for a well-deserved promotion. Emily never used to talk like this, and throwing out this kind of idea was just plain weird. Plus, with everything that the company had been dealing with then, this chat felt pretty out of place, so I just brushed it off without saying much in response. I'll see to it, Emily. We were deep in our chat when her phone buzzed, so she stepped away to take the call. When she got back, it was almost time for a meeting, which I had set up earlier. I said sorry and ducked out, promising to pick up where we left off later on. After that intense meeting wrapped up, I headed back to my office. But when I got there, I found Brooke already sitting in the chair next to mine. His face looked kind of worried, and he seemed lost in thought and stared off into the distance. It was a total switch from his usual upbeat self, and I couldn't help but wonder what had happened. Brooke. What happened, buddy? You seem a little off today. Brooke, I told you, man, don't trust that couple. I had a feeling about them from the start, and now look what happened. What are you saying? What happened, bud? Brooke, it is them. I had an idea where this was leading. Tell me what happened, Brooke. Brooke, dude, it is them behind the illegal releases. They have been pulling strings behind your back, Emily and Dryden. I heard it crystal clear just a bit ago. And get this, they are even scheming to bump up Dryden so the whole operation runs even smoother. Damn. I should have seen it coming. How could I be so dumb as to trust them? I thought they were my friends. By the way, how did you find out? Brooke, I overheard Emily while she was on a phone call with Dryden in the lobby. I know, it is hard to believe, so I recorded it all. Brooke then played the recording, and as Emily was on a call, only her voice was audible. I've been snooping around, and guess what? There's an opening for a music producer at his company. It is a golden chance for us. The higher up you go, the nearer we get to our big goal. I was just in the middle of working my magic on him when your call butted in on the chat. Dryden, look how far we have come with our smooth moves. No need to sweat about getting busted now. We have put in too much work to let anything mess things up. Let's just keep our eyes on the prize and make sure we nail it. Okay, babe. Well, if we handle things smartly, he won't have a clue. Honestly, I am fed up with him. All he does is yap about that lame lake thing. He was not even that great of a buddy. And hey, I have been walking him through every step of the way. He will never figure out that it was our scheme from the start. Chill out, I have got it all figured out. We are just a couple of moves away from nailing this week's plan. At the end of the day, we are not doing anything that wrong, right? Plus, think about that sweet cash. With all that money, we would be living the best of our lives. Excellent. Now chin up, babe. We have a new release coming up. We cannot lose this. When the recording was playing and the truth was coming out bit by bit, I could feel the trust and friendship I had with them falling apart. And suddenly I had this raw urge to make them pay back for all their doings. When that recording ended, I was just speechless. The betrayal and loss of trust hit hard, but I one look at Brooke and I knew it was time to do something about it. I had made up my mind and decided that I was not going to let them take advantage of me. They needed a wake-up call about who they had been messing up with. If they had come clean at some point, I might have let them go, but their shady moves and sneaky plans? I was not going to tolerate that, especially when it's all aimed at bringing my company down. Brooke was the only one who had been warning me about Emily and Dryden's sketchy moves. He had a gut feeling way before the truth came out, but I always brushed off his warnings, thinking everything was cool. Now that the truth had come out, I was feeling pretty betrayed and let down for not listening to him. I had gained my fair share of connections by working in this industry for years, and it was not my kindness that had brought me to this stage of my life, and so I was set to destroy them. I told Brooke to dig deep into Emily and Dryden's lives and uncover any secrets they thought were buried. I then used every connection and resource at hand to make it happen. I even shot an email to Emily's boss, with whom I was pretty close, expressing my worries about their sales representative. I laid out examples of the shady work and called out her shady activities. I had then left it up to her boss to decide what to do next, but I made damn sure they knew how urgent it was to deal with the issue. And then, bright and early, the next day, I hit Dryden with the news that he's out of the job by sending him his termination letter through an email. Now he could fancy being the big shot producer in his own little world. After I wrapped all this trash up, Emily called me. "Lucas, seriously? What's up with firing Dryden from his job? What is going on? Why the heck did you do that? Simply because he was terrible at his work." "No, that's not true. He works his tail off day and night. You were supposed to promote him to a producer, not show him the door." "Oh, I am sorry, Emily, but you do not tell me what to do. This firm does not work on your orders. Dryden was the best at his work. You cannot simply fire him like this." "Oh yes, I can. If my employees wish to plot my downfall, behind my back I hold every right to throw them out of their seats." "What? What are you talking about?" "Stop acting dumb, Emily, and don't call me ever again. I am done with the whole thing. I know what you both have been up to." The line went out. Emily had ended the call. Later, when I was in my office, lost in my own thoughts, there was this sudden knock on the door. I opened it, and who did I see? Emily and Dryden, two people I had hoped I would never have to lay eyes on again. The last time I talked to Emily, I told her I was done with them, but it looked like they missed the memo and barged into my office like they owned the place. And let me tell you, they weren't happy. Their faces were red with fury, steam practically coming out of their ears. "What the heck were you thinking? You had no right to fire me without any prior notice. Why are you doing this with us, Lucas? You know where we stand. You should be helping us as a friend." I had straight up told Emily I knew about her little scheme on call, and guess what? She still decided to play dumb. Can you believe that? Don't pull the innocent act with me, you two. I am very well aware of your little game. I know you are the ones who pitched our work to the competitors. I saw as their faces went pale, and one could practically see the fear written all over them. "That is not true. We would never." "Emily, don't insult my intelligence. I have proof of your betrayal." "You have no proof of anything. This is a witch hunt." "Oh, I have plenty of proof, Dryden, and if you don't stop lying through your teeth, I will have no choice but to take legal action." "Lucas, please, you have to believe us. We would never do anything to harm you." I couldn't believe Emily was still so persistent about this little act of hers. Her lies and masked pleas were starting to irritate me on a whole other level. "Spare me the crocodile tears, Emily. You two have been plotting behind my back for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You thought you could manipulate your way to the top? You thought you could betray my trust, sell my songs, and get away with it? You cannot prove anything. We will deny everything." "You disgust me, Dryden. After everything I have done for you, is this how you repay me? Your confession isn't even necessary. The evidence speaks for itself. You are fired, and there is nothing you can do about it." Even though I had no intention of suing Dryden, it was fun seeing the blood drain from his face upon hearing the words. "And it won't be long before you receive your termination letter as well, Emily." "What do you mean?" "I may or may not have just emailed your boss. You can hear the rest from her. You will pay for this, Lucas. Just wait and watch. I will make sure of it." "Ha, you had your chance, Emily. Now, get out of my sight before I call security." Emily stormed out of my office, and Dryden hurriedly followed after her. After that whole mess, I never crossed paths with those two again, and frankly speaking, I had no desire to. And in all honesty, I loved it when she was fired and Dryden had to face legal charges for this theft. Their behavior was just too much for my stomach. It left me feeling disgusted and betrayed, and I could not take it anymore. Since then, I've made it a point to steer clear of people like them and stick with people who share my values. I never imagined in my wildest dreams that the girl I had once saved from drowning would turn around and scheme to drown me instead, metaphorically speaking, of course. But her little scheme couldn't be bound by the walls of secrecy and ended up backfiring instead. Not to sound too inhuman, but I am happy, to say the least.